King Productions presents the BearDown Corner with your host, Sergeant Cornholio. Hey there, everybody. This is the BearDown Corner, and I'm your host, Sergeant Holio. And this week, we got you caught up for the end of Week 3 preseason action. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? So, some things have been happening around the NFL. We're going to get you caught up. Transactions happening like today. Terry McLaurin signed his 3-year, $96 million extension to keep him locked into the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels has his number one target. All's good in the hood in that area of the world. So, Commanders fans, you should be happy. You got your number one target back. The Panthers extend right tackle Taylor Morton. He has been a solid tackle for them since coming into the league. Talked about how much he loved the city this last offseason, talking about how he wanted to get an extension done. He got it. And now, here's an interesting fact I came across. The Carolina Panthers now have all 5 starting offensive linemen signed through 2026. So, really, it's all up to Bryce Young at this point to put it all together. He has all the talent around him for weapons, right? You got Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowell in the backfield. You drafted a wide receiver to go along with the other first-round wide receiver from last year. You have a second-rounder that you like in Leggett. They're probably going to trade Thielen. That's another story I was going to say is the Vikings are interested in trading for Adam Thielen. So let's just tie him right into this discussion, shall we? Adam Thielen going back to the Vikings makes the most sense because it's in a crowded wide receiver room in Carolina where he's been there a few years and he's been able to teach these guys, and now it's time for them to take their next step in their development. And unfortunately, the part of business is we move on from other players. But in Thielen's case, this could be a bit of a happy reunion because he already knows the head coach. He already knows the system over in Minnesota. You got Jordan Addison, who's on a 3-game suspension, minus whatever other cluster that the team's going to tell him, hey, you screwed up, so now we're going to punish you a little bit. Either way, you got to get off to a hot start. You got to get off on the right foot. So trade for Thielen makes the most sense in J.J. McCarthy's development and trying to put an opposite receiver opposite of Justin Jefferson. So good luck to all those entailed. Rookie Derek Harmon from the Steelers is out currently. Certain reports are saying he might be out about a month. He was drafted 21st overall in this most recent draft. He was expected to be a starting defensive end on the 3-man front, along with Cam Hayward. This is a blow. This is a blow if you're a Steelers defense. Looking to make that transition where you're injecting some youth, getting some, fresh legs in there, and now he's out. So hopefully speedy recovery. He went down with a nasty knee twist in game the other day. But here's the thing that I don't get, and this is what I found interesting, was Mike Tomlin decided to start majority of his starters against the Panthers this past week. I get playing them a little bit, but he overextended playing them. So, I don't know. I guess freak accidents happen all the time. That's the best way to sum it up. There's not really much else to explain on that. Buccaneers activate Chris Godwin off of the PUP IR. So, he's not going to be starting right away. But this is good news from the wide receiver who was tearing it up last year until his injury in October. He will be playing back in October this year is the expected plan. So he'll miss September, be back in October sometime. So Buccaneers fans, that's exciting news for you. You get one of your vets back. Also, the Washington Commanders have traded running back Brian Robinson Jr. This one actually kind of shocked me a little. Didn't really make much sense to me at first. From the 49ers aspect to San Francisco, this makes perfect sense. You have Christian McCaffrey, who was coming off of an injury-riddled season last year. You want some insurance. And as much as I like Zayek Eduardo as well, he's a decent guy. I've seen the couple games he played in last year. But I don't see him being a long-term answer if, let's say, McCaffrey goes down again. So they trade for Jordan Mason, which I thought he was going to be the backup, really. He was solid in Minnesota, but they go out and get a former starter, Brian Robinson. Now, what happened in the Commanders? Was it he wanted a new contract and wasn't getting it? This is the final year of his rookie contract, and the Commanders are actually going to still withhold and pay him 3.8 of it while trading him. So I think this was just more a move on they couldn't pay to keep the guy, so they decided to move past. Plus, let's be honest, he was a good north and south power runner, but in overall, he wasn't a complete back. Okay, and I think that's what the Commanders seen. And drafting this kid, and they seen what they had in the 7th round rookie that they drafted and realized, we can get the same production out of him as we did Robinson, or at least that's how they viewed it. Maybe that's why they traded him. Either way, he was a decent running back for them last year with a 1-2 punch with Austin Eckler, but no longer is he in Washington. Daniel Jones. We're just going to start right off with this and lead into our final segment. So, Daniel Jones has been named the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. Earlier in the offseason, I actually predicted that to happen based on Shane Steichen's liking to him early on in training camp. So they brought Daniel Jones. Let's paint the picture quick. They brought Daniel Jones in on a 1-year quarterback contract. Okay? To compete with Anthony Richardson. Obviously, Anthony Richardson hasn't shown enough in this preseason training camp to convince his head coach to give him the starting keys to the kingdom. Instead, they're going to have this kid sit on the bench, which I'm okay with. Let's be honest. Let's do a little bit of dive into Richardson's history. The guy hasn't had more than a 200 and I think this was a weird stat that I came across, but I think it's 230 something yards is his highest passing ever in a game. This dude is supposed to have a monster fucking arm. He had a 22% I think completion of lawn bombs last year. Okay. I know you want to have a higher percentage in that area, and you might not, because obviously if you're hurling the fucking ball, the talent is there. I don't think the brain is, though. I don't think his football IQ is like what everyone thinks. He is one of the younger quarterbacks in the league at 21, but that's just it. He was viewed at this raw talent that can be molded. But obviously they've either failed him or he's not the player you thought he was as an actual person, not talent, person. This guy took himself out of a game last year because he was tired or a little ailing sore, whatever the case is, all right? I get it if you're injured. But at that point in time, he wasn't injured. The way he explained it was he ran out of breath. Then get the hell off the field and get your conditioning in line, kid. You're playing in the NFL. You're playing starting quarterback in the NFL. And you're going to pull yourself out of a game for being tired? You know what? Screw it. Daniel Jones, you might have looked like shit and remembered people of what you were in New York. Maybe this is your renaissance, my man. Go make the most of your opportunity. I have no problem with this move. At first, I thought, okay, maybe Richardson give him another try because Jones showed us what he could do in the preseason, which was what he did in New York. Short, stifled passes, never got any much more. But reports out of Indianapolis is he's more coachable than Richardson. So that's another reason why Shane Steichen, and really what is going to be a hot seat year for him. That's what our next segment's going to be. It's the hot seats of the NFL. We got 5 head coaches that are on the possible hot seat early on in the season. And we'll find out what's going to happen, obviously, because football is right around the corner, and I'm so excited. But for the Colts, Shane Steichen didn't have much other choice. Solidify who your quarterback's going to be in a talented enough group that can make a playoff push, especially in a weak AFC South. Let's be honest, as much as I like Liam Cohen and Jacksonville Jaguars, I like what Houston's done in locking up their guys and how they're rolling. Tennessee has taken leaps and bounds in their own way. This division has gotten better, but to what extent? Right? You can be the top of your division, but suck against the rest of the other competitive teams. That's what Houston's gone through the last few years. So for Shane Steichen, him starting Daniel Jones is kind of a no-brainer. If you liked him from beginning of camp, he's more coachable, and he's only going to develop better. Because let's be honest, Daniel Jones, it's not like he knew the system, so he's still learning it. So we'll give the guy some time, and hopefully this pans out. Because if so, it could buy him another year or two, so that way he could maybe draft and get a proper quarterback who he wants for the future moving forward. New York coach Brian Daboll is another hot pick I have. So Brian entered coaching coming off of a very successful 11-5 rookie season where he took the Giants to the playoffs, and they showed early on, hey, we can be something. That's also when they had, let's remember, Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham Jr. before he tenured out of there, and then it's just been a carousel ever since. So they got to get shit in order this year. That's why they went and got a whole shit ton of quarterbacks. Russ Wilson, Jameis Winston, drafted Jackson Dart. They still got Tommy DeVito. He's probably going to be, fourth emergency quarterback or whatever the hell. Either way, the Giants addressed the quarterback situation in the offseason as best that they could have. They have a front seven that is paid out the ass in the NFL that's showing what they can be. Also drafting Abdul Carter. Like, this team has everything that they should in order to make the push they can. To make the successful push. Question is, can they do it? I'm not 100% convinced, but time will tell. I don't think Brian Daboll is going to be there after this year, if I'm being honest myself. I think he will probably be shit-canned along with Shane Steichen, unfortunately. I don't think the Daniel Jones thing is going to go over well, but I hope the best for you because he's taken every last shot he has. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor. So this one isn't necessarily because of the offense and what we know he can bring. He's an offensive-minded head coach. But it doesn't take away from his shitty-ass defense that has to hold teams at least a couple times a game, man. All this reminds me of is frustrating Madden games. But that's a whole nother discussion on a whole nother topic. All I'm going to say is, Zach Taylor, I really hope you guys can get off to a hot start, and you playing your starters like you hadn't in years past pays off this year, because you can't start out 0-2 again. You just can't. Honestly, you start out 0-2, Bengals, just fucking turf them. Because at this point, what more can you guys do? I know it's not going to be Zach Taylor's fault. It's going to be the goddamn defenses. They haven't done nothing with the defense this year to upgrade and improve enough to the point that they can be a competitive team. They're relying on the offense. Upper management blows my fucking mind in Cincinnati. They really do. They won't re-sign Trey Hendrickson, right? He's on trade block now. They fought and struggled with their first-round draft pick like idiots. Miami's head coach Mike McDaniels is the next hot topic on this segment. So I read an interesting stat about this. So in the 4 years McDaniels has been there, all right, they've been a top 11 spending team on players, whether that's been drafting first, second round picks, signing big money free agents, extending certain players, whatever. And they've had a couple playoff appearances where they've just been dingled out like they were nothing. So Mike McDaniels, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Your time up in Miami might be coming to a draw. Like, you put together your version of a team, but they're not getting it done, especially in that game against Buffalo where you guys got shit canned there a couple years ago. That was the last time I remember seeing the Dolphins in the playoffs. Was in a snowy-ass Buffalo stadium where they got their asses handed on them because they weren't able to compete in the goddamn elements. You want to win in January, you got to learn to win in the outdoor games. And to finish off, the most and obvious, Cleveland Browns head coach Mike Stefanski. So I like Mike Stefanski. He did well when Baker was there. They haven't been able to recover since. They fucked up with Baker Mayfield and letting him go, man. It is a quarterback carousel in the Browns organization again. Again, they're going through the same damn thing they did in the early 2000s and the 2010s. They had a little bit of stretch with Baker Mayfield, but they haven't had a starting quarterback consistently since Baker. And that's going back all the way to 2000 even. They got Tim Couch back then, but hell, he didn't pan out. He had 2 seasons and he was gone. The Browns organization is just a dysfunctional shit show, and I hope that the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, gets another chance at some point. But if you can turn around it with this clusterfuck of a roster this year, then man, my hat's off to you, because you've really done something then. But that is going to bring us to the conclusion of the Decaying Stream. So, myself, Sergeant Julio, just want to say thank you so much for joining us each and every week. Tuesday morning, 6 o'clock, General Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. Available everywhere you can listen to your podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to check out everything else up and around, known as Sergeant Julio, that's out there. But as for now, have a great rest of your week. Take care, be safe, and we will catch you next week here on the BearDown Corner.